And welcome to Connecting Hope. I'm Will Hampton along with Monica Greer, and I know so many of you out there watching, perhaps you have a loved one, perhaps it's you that's struggling with an addiction to alcohol or drugs. That's what the Hamilton County Council on Alcohol and Other Drugs does. Help the people in need, right?
Yes, yes. And one thing that I wanted to mention is collaboration is key. Collaboration is a big part of what we do. It's probably the biggest asset that we have, collaborating with other agencies to obtain grant funding, to obtain other resources. So I think that we've had a couple examples of that already on the show with quick response teams. We received a federal grant. We built our coalition to over 80 community members. And another example is our recovery centers that we are hoping to have here in the community. So we've already started meeting with key leaders and getting that going. So it's key.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Fairbanks in just a little bit. And so many people have heard of Fairbanks. A lot of people watching this show may not live in Hamilton County. And that's what I think we need to stress is that you guys, the Hamilton County Council on Alcohol and Other Drugs, can connect the dots to other county, other agencies, right?
Yes. Yes, there's a local coordinating council in every community, every county. So that's what we are, a local coordinating council. And Indiana is unique in that we have a local coordinating council in every county. So you can visit the Criminal Justice Institute website to get more information on the coordinating council in your community.
Yeah, so if they're watching in Blackford or Grant County or up in Delaware, they have a place to go to get help.
Yep.
Yeah, and if not, they can always call you, and you'll find it.
I will. Yeah.
One of the great agencies, really, in the council, is the Suburban North Club.
Yes.
They're based in Noblesville.
Yes.
Been around for a long time.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit about their connection to your council.
Sure. Suburban North Club, a lot of people may not know what they are or what they do, but they hold a lot of recovery meetings. So recovery meetings in the past were held at churches a lot of the times, and the staff would change, and then so they would lose their meeting space and what have you. So this is one-stop shop for all different types of substance abuse-related recovery meetings. And the council helps provide funding for their rent. So their rent at their facility is pretty big. So we help offset that for them.
And I know COVID-19 has affected them some because they can't get as many people in the different rooms, but they're still doing a great job. And recently, I got a chance to take a tour, take a look at the place, and I got a chance to talk with Mark Miller, who is the Suburban North Club board president, and we talked about just what this club does.
The Suburban North Club was founded, I think we're in our 21st year. It was founded here in Noblesville years ago when several 12-step meetings in the community all found themselves losing their location to have a meeting all around the same time. What we are is a nonprofit organization that provides safe meeting place for folks who are in recovery. We have somewhere in the neighborhood of about 50 meetings a week that take place in this little building. If you do a count of who comes through our doors, which we do keep track of, it's about 50,000 people a year come through this little building to work towards living a life in recovery. One of the things that's been proven out over time is that people working together seem to have a lot more success than people trying to do things on their own. All of those meetings are about peers working with peers. So you'll have folks that are new to what's going on in recovery, and then you'll have folks that have been around for years. And most of those people are living great recovered lives and literally come back to help newcomers to kind of help them find the same things they've found. We keep a listing of all of our meetings, our meeting schedule. And like I said, there's about 50 a week at all different times, from 7 in the morning until late into the evening. You can find those by visiting our website, which is suburbannorthclub.com. We've also got a list of folks that are on that website who have put up their phone numbers, direct lines. If there's a person who's in direct need of just somebody to talk to about their problem and how they may try to find some help for how to work through it, there's a whole lot of folks that are there who put their phone numbers on there and are willing to take a call anytime from somebody who needs help. We're actually in the process now of building a new facility with the hopes of being able to continue to bring more and more recovery to the growing list of people that are here. Like I said, we have 50,000 coming through today. We know there's probably at least another 50,000 that aren't getting here that could use it. If you're interested in helping us to move towards that goal, we'd love to hear from you as well. And you can reach us again through suburbannorthclub.com.
Mark Meller just does great work at the Suburban North Club with everybody that really does. And I do want to say also that Mark is next week's success story, so be sure to tune in to Connecting Hope. Tell me real quickly, how does the funding work for these organizations?
Sure. We have a grant application, the Council on Alcohol and Other Drugs, and if someone provides treatment or prevention services related to drugs and alcohol, they can email me at monica.greer@hamiltoncounty.in.gov to receive an application.
Yeah, so they get it and it helps them help people. That's what it's
Right.
about.
Yep.
Speaking of great people, Alana is this week's success story.
Yes.
It is quite a story. And now, as we continue here on Connecting Hope, this week's success story, Alana.
In high school, I was what people call straight edge, where you don't really party, don't hang out with the party crowds. I was very adamant about staying away from that lifestyle. And at one point, my parents picked up and moved us down to Florida. And it was down there that I met a guy. I was 17. I had pink hair. He had mohawk. It was love at first sight. And turns out he was really heavily smoking marijuana. And that kind of blew the door open for me because it was the first time I tried it. And I thought, I had this notion in my head that marijuana was like horrible. I didn't even know kind of what to expect because I'd never been around it. And I thought to myself, oh, this isn't so bad. What else is out there? And that's when drugs and alcohol became the leading force in my life. It became what dictated my decisions, and I didn't do anything without it. So it took over every aspect of who I was and what I did and who I hung out with as well. I stopped hanging out with people that were responsible and goal setters and, moved forward in their life, and I got stuck in a rut where I just hung out with people that wanted to party. And when I got involved with crack cocaine use, that was like the bottom of the barrel for me. It went from just partying and hanging out with stoners to me going to the hood and peddling, like trying to pawn jewelry, and my living situation became I was awful. Depraved, I would call it depravity. It was the pits. I'd sit there absolutely suicidal sometimes at night, hoping to die because I hated what I had become, but not knowing how to cope with life any other way. So I would just drown it with alcohol.
I have had the fortunate time to work with Alana. I was her case manager for drug court and just very proud of her. We look forward to seeing her recovery story.
Yeah, that's coming up just a little bit as we continue here on Connecting Hope. I'm looking forward to part 2 of
Yes.
this week's success story. But when we return, we're going to talk a little bit about Fairbanks. You've probably heard of Fairbanks. Well, we'll tell their story when Connecting Hope continues. And welcome back to Connecting Hope. Each and every week we try to have some great guests for you to kind of just help us spread the news as to what we're doing here. And again, I think we've nailed it again as we say hello to Eric Totterud from Fairbanks. Good to have you on board, and Fairbanks means so much to our community. Thank you for all that you guys do there. It's a real staple.
Thank you, Will. I appreciate you having me on here. And so Fairbanks is now part of Community Health Network proudly. And actually, as of this year, we are celebrating our 75-year anniversary of being in operations. So Fairbanks started in 1945 as an all-men's addiction treatment facility way back around World War II time. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So good to have you. I appreciate you coming on the show. And just tell us a little bit about the services that Fairbanks offers.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Monica. So Fairbanks offers addiction treatment services, a full continuum of addiction treatment services, which means everything from inpatient detoxification down through residential, various outpatient levels, and on down even to continuing care and sober living options as
Okay.
well.
All right.
Yeah.
And I understand you have a women's lodge and a men's lodge. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so our men and women's Laverna Lodge programs are our adult residential programs that are off-site. So our main location is there next to Community North in the Castleton area, and our men's lodge is up in Westfield, and our women's lodge is on the far northeast side of Indy, close to our main campus location.
Okay.
And those are 30-day, on average about 30 to 45-day residential treatment stays where folks are in programming throughout the day and just really provide a really good base for their recovery, provide a fantastic networking opportunity to start their recovery, and just help people build those healthy recovery habits that are so important in early recovery.
Well, I think one thing I love about having you on this show, because so many people comment on, well, is this just for Hamilton County, this show? Well, no, not at all. And by having you in here proves that, because you guys help really, not just statewide, nationwide, people come to Fairbanks for help.
Yeah, absolutely. We get patients from really all over.
Yeah.
And having started so long ago, traditionally people have come to us from not just Indiana, but we get folks from all around the Midwest. And we have the facilities in the different counties, Marion County, Hamilton County, as well.
I know the FairbanksCD.org is the website.
That's right.
FairbanksCD.org, and then a phone number, 800-225-4673.
That's correct.
That's the best place for people, if they're in need right now, they could call, right?
Absolutely, yep. We take calls 24/7. We schedule assessments 7 days a week, and we can take your call, schedule an assessment, and get you or a loved one into treatment, really any day out of the week.
So 800-225-4673.
225-HOPE.
Okay.
All right.
That's right, yes.
So tell me a little bit about, we know that we're in this COVID crisis right now. What if somebody needs services, but they can't get out of their house? They want to receive the services online. Do you have that option?
Absolutely. So we do. So even pre-COVID, we had this online IOP program, and what that does is it allows people who meet outpatient criteria to get services on an online basis, and they're still meeting on a screen face-to-face with the counselor. They're still engaged in programming, but they are able to do it from the safety of their home. And really, with the COVID, it did provide the opportunity to have those folks that would meet criteria for in-person outpatient to get that virtual outpatient option, get approved for that. So that's a great option.
You're closing in on a 1-year anniversary with the connection with community. What's that done as far as changing services and helped you guys?
Absolutely. So we've been integrating with community for the last year. We're still, well into this integration, but it's what it does is it gives us more of an opportunity to work with a wider range of providers, and it makes our services it makes us really able to provide a more well-rounded treatment approach for our patients with that community connection, because community has so many different providers in their network. So we now have access to that, which is just fantastic, and that's going to be continuing to formalize as our relationship kind of builds with community and as we integrate more and more.
Yeah.
So personally, Eric, what got you into this field? Did you have a reason or?
Yeah, absolutely. So in my early 20s, I got into a little bit of trouble with drugs and alcohol, and I actually went to Laverna Lodge for Men. And I stayed there for 4 months. I got a sponsor. I connected with a network of guys that were in recovery. Some of those guys are my best friends now. And October 1st, I celebrated 6 years of continuous sobriety.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. So
Yeah.
so it kind of gave me that passion to help get people into treatment, especially into Fairbanks and into Laverna Lodge.
Yeah.
And I still work part-time over at Laverna Lodge, helping some of those guys and running some 12-step like groups for them when it's necessary.
Very nice.
Well, thank you so
Well, we
much.
really enjoyed
Yeah.
having you.
Thank you for what you're doing and what you continue to do. You're, as we say on this show a lot, you're saving lives. Thank you.
Thank you guys for
Thank you,
having me.
Eric.
Appreciate it.
That's Eric Titterud from Fairbanks. We're back with more of Connecting Hope right after this. And we do appreciate you watching Connecting Hope. Thank you for joining us here on WHMB TV 40. I'm Will Hampton along with Monica Greer. And one of the neat things I think we're doing here each and every week is telling success stories.
Yes. And we are about to see Alana's second half of her success story.
Well, when I first started getting in trouble, it was the thought when you're doing this, when I'm doing this, was it can't happen to me. There's no way I could get caught. I'm just young and living it up. It's just a lifestyle choice to have fun. Like, I didn't think that there was any consequences to my actions. I didn't think very seriously about it. And when I did start getting in trouble and getting put away, and it became kind of an annoyance at first, and then the very last time when I was threatened with real prison time, that's when it really sank in that this is my life. Then that led into a relationship with Christ, and that's ultimately where this all leads for me, is my dad had sent me a prayer in jail, and I don't know why, but I just started to pray, and it really woke me up. I needed a period where I just dried up from the drugs and the alcohol in order to have some mental clarity, because my head was so fogged up with my own delusion that this was all okay, and that the trouble was just annoying, and reality set in, and whether or not this was how I wanted to live my life. And I hate to say this, but seeing some of the other girls in there that were farther gone than I was at that point really scared me straight. I went to Terra Treatment Center in Franklin and met a lot of women that helped lead me there, and for whatever reason at that point I just began to listen to what people said and took advice about being honest and recalibrating my brain to focus on what I have to be grateful for rather than my own pity party, pitiful sadness or the delusions, really. I believe that God is who pulled me out from addiction. I believe that, there's no doubt in my mind. And then it wasn't until later in my recovery that I came to salvation and came to know Christ. Because at first it was God, it was just a notion. It was just God, G-O-D. It wasn't very much else. And then later in life, I think it was like 4 years into my recovery, is when I came to know Jesus. I've got chickens, I've got hopefully goats one day, I've got 2 kids. That's, I mean, an unbelievable blessing that came out of all of this. I never even knew I wanted kids until I had them, which is, awesome. And they're a point of accountability for me and a source of, I was just writing about this last night, is that my children are what helped me to be absolutely selfless. We could get sober, but we're not going to remain sober if we keep bad company around. And that's a huge aspect of it for me, is making sure that I'm surrounded by people that want to do well for themselves, that want to see me do well for myself, and have my children's interests at heart as well, because they're in this too. It's not about me anymore.
Thank you, Alana. Thank you so much for sharing your story, and congratulations on your road to recovery as it continues. That's one of the neat things that I have kind of learned by doing this show, is the recovery never stops, does it?
Yes, that's true. And I'm so proud of Alana. She is just on a great path and has a beautiful family, and she's doing great.
It's got to be the number one rewarding thing about your job
Yeah.
is to come in contact with people that the council has helped.
That's true. Yeah, and looking back at the shows that we've already done, that's my favorite part, is the success stories.
Yeah. We're going to take a break. We have one more segment. We're going to give you a little bit more information about Fairbanks when we return to Connecting Hope. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of another Connecting Hope show, and I'm really happy that you're here watching us. And we're here every Friday at 9:30 on TV 40. I'm Will Hampton along with Monica Greer, and we did talk about Fairbanks early. We had Eric in on the show.
Yeah.
And real quickly, that phone number, 800-225-4673. That's a number to Fairbanks. You can call it anytime, 24 hours a day, right?
Yeah, and we are so fortunate to have that opportunity to have those resources close to home here. And they have services for adolescents and adults. So 13 and up, they provide treatment and resources to families and the participants.
Yeah, that's one thing I forgot to ask him was about the adolescent program.
Yeah.
You said it starts at 13.
Yeah.
And that's everything from substance abuse to just really runs the gamut, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's mainly substance abuse, but they'll help with other things too as well. So, yeah.
Well, I tell you, in our community, Fairbanks, today we talked about Fairbanks and we also talked about the Suburban North Club, and they're kind of different. I mean, acute training, not training, but acute help right away is
Yeah.
what Fairbanks really offers, but then
Yeah.
also some long-term.
Yeah, they have, the inpatient and outpatient, and then they also refer to recovery meetings like Suburban North Club. So I think we hit a lot of the path to recovery today on the show.
Yeah. The one thing I was impressed with Suburban North is they were telling me they have 50,000 people a year that goes through their doors.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, thank you very much for making it happen here on Connecting Hope.
yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you again for watching. We do appreciate it. And we will see you next time, next week, right here on TV 40. Thank you for watching Connecting Hope.